Hello everyone and welcome to the live stream. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. Please say hi. Hi Kyle, thank you very much for being the first person to say hello. It's been a long time since I did a live stream. So thank you very much for joining me, especially since this is late, about 25 minutes later than thought. JTW, hi JTW. So whereabouts in the world is everybody here? AONG, hi to you as well. Thank you for joining me. Today begins a really kind of random week for myself. With me living in the UK, we've changed our clocks. Our clocks changed 2 a.m. this morning, but I know in North America you don't change your clocks until next week. Australia, New Zealand, I don't believe you change your clocks until November. And the reason why this is kind of unusual is because it means that for at least 1 week, all of the time zone differences, time differences are shifted by an hour, and that causes me confusion every time. Every time it's this time of year, and with some of my audio coaching clients, I always know the time difference because I'm lucky enough to speak with people from around the world. And then for 1 week, that shifts because here in the UK we change our clocks differently to those of you in North America. And to those of you who are in Australasia, you are different as well. Here in Europe, we've changed. So I'm aligned with everybody in Europe to the same degree. But yeah, it's a bit of a random time. When I was putting the times on here and I was saying, okay, it will be, I think I said 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UK. Normally, I'm 5 hours ahead of Eastern. But for this week, it's 4. Anyway. A lot of that boring chat out of Wales. We just waited for a few more people to come in. Hi, Mad Max. Hey, bro. Kyle has said, I'm currently in Boston, California. Great to have you in here. JTW is in the UK. So you know what I'm on about. We've changed the clocks. We got an extra hour in bed, which is brilliant. It just feels later, though, now. So how is everybody doing? Please let me know about your situations, anything you want to get off your chest. Hi FFXL, it's great to have so many people in here that I don't recognise from my last live stream, which was months and months and months ago. Don't get me wrong, it's great to have people come back, but it's good to see some new usernames as well. Potentially for the first time you've seen one of my live streams. FXL is from France. So you've also changed your clocks, although you are an hour ahead of me anyway, for all of those people who love time. Yeah, doing this job, I've learnt a lot about time, and time differences and time zones. Yeah, it's something that I've started to almost memorize, which is I never thought I would do that. Diego said hi. From Washington State, US. Wow, so the West Coast. A long time behind me. Normally 8 hours, although for this week, only 7. So how is everybody? How are you all doing? I know that listening to my channel generally means you're not doing too good, unfortunately, but we can try and raise everybody's happiness as best we can, everybody's self-esteem and confidence and belief. That's what we will try to do. Kyle has said, I'm dealing with a hot and cold ex, but I've known for 9 years and only dated for 8 months. So straight off the bat, Kyle, my initial thoughts, maybe I'm wrong on this because I'm speaking on very little information, but I'm feeling a friend zone kind of situation here. You've known this person for 9 years, yet you've only been dating for 8 months. It's hot and cold. that tells me that potentially this other person sees you potentially as more of a friend. Is that what's going on? Are they friendly one moment and then intimate the next? Is that what's happening, Kyle? And how about everybody else in here? How are you feeling today? Sometimes it's good just to get things off your chest. Kyla said, yup. Okay, so we have a friend zone situation. It's very hard to get out of the friend zone. Now look, it's not impossible, but it is challenging. What you need to be doing is trying to consider what the person would find attractive. That might sound kind of obvious, or maybe it sounds kind of difficult, but you've got to recognize that they see you, it seems, as more of a platonic friend. So we need to try and change that. It is possible, but it is not easy. Christopher say, hi Christopher. I discovered my girlfriend cheated on me last year on Halloween, and this year she's just ghosted me. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear that, Christopher. How did you discover that had happened? What was the situation? AONG has said, I found out I got unblocked because I texted her. I know it was a mistake. Okay, it wasn't ideal what you did, but let's take the positives. You've been unblocked. That generally means that they are no longer feeling as awkward, potentially. Now, it doesn't guarantee that they will want to reach out to you, and it also definitely doesn't guarantee that they want to hear from you right now. But what it does show is that they are no longer feeling anxious to the degree they once did. So let's take a positive from that. Christopher has said, thank you. She told me his name and location, and I actually called him to confirm it. So she told you this. Why did she tell you this? That sounds a very difficult situation. Suppressor, hello. Hello to you. Thank you for joining the live stream. So, who here has Substack? Does anybody have Substack here? This is what I've been using to produce my weekly newsletter. But what's really cool about it is it's a weekly newsletter which I'm using to motivate and inspire people as best I can. But what I didn't realize at the time is it also has kind of almost like a Twitter clone aspect to it as well. So if you decide to sign up to my free newsletter, not only do you get the weekly newsletter to give you that positivity boost, hopefully give you the confidence to move forward and inspire you, but also it has a Twitter angle on it, like a microblogging section. I wasn't aware Substack had that. Does anybody here have Substack? As a whole, you know, some of you may have Substack and you subscribe to other newsletters. I'm just kind of curious because I only came across it a few weeks ago when I created my own newsletter. I'm really enjoying it. I'm uploading one once a week. I did one today, linking it to Halloween and the whole trick or treat concept. It's a life coaching style to try and help you. I'm curious to know who actually uses Substack. Even if you don't, by the way, if you're interested in signing up to my free newsletter, you can. You don't need to use Substack, but if you do, you will already know what I'm talking about. Okay, so FFXL said, I'm in no contact for 9 months now. Last time she told me that it was not an adieu, but we need to wait 5 years before to speak again. Should I wait? Well, my suggestion in that situation is that you should never wait for anybody. You should never be clock watching. Now, this doesn't mean that they might not come back into your life, but you should absolutely not be waiting a single minute, let alone 5 years. You need to be living your life to the full, and you need to be focusing on you and what you want to be doing on your life journey. AONG said, I don't know if I told you this, but I came to this chat a long time from no contact, but it was a different breakup. and I actually got that ex back, but now I'm trying to get this one back. Laugh out loud. Wow, okay, so we have a success story here. Anybody who wants some inspiration, AONG, got their ex back before. That's really, really good to hear. Christopher said she basically was ready to break up with me anyways, but changed her mind after it didn't work out with her rebound. I'm concerned that she's been cheating on me again, especially this weekend. Well, I'm really, really sorry to hear that, Christopher. At the end of the day, if you don't feel comfortable being in a relationship with somebody, i.e. if you don't trust them, you shouldn't be in it. Being in an untrusting relationship is going to be very, very damaging to your self-esteem and your lifestyle. You can't not trust someone and be in a relationship. You need to trust them. You either trust them completely, in my opinion, or you're not in that relationship. That is not healthy for you. Dana said, what does it mean when you call out an unaware dismissive avoidant, I'm guessing that DA means, suggesting they redetached and left it as that? She blocked me, but then unblocked me a few days later, now stalking my socials. Sometimes I think that we get too hung up on the attachment style somebody might have. Firstly, they could only truly, genuinely be diagnosed by a professional, meaning we might have an inkling somebody has a certain attachment style, but we don't know for certain. And hence, if we're trying to base things on that principle without fully knowing, that could lead us down the wrong path. Similarly to when people say, oh, my ex is a narcissist. Well, they might have narcissistic traits, but less than 1% of the population suffers from narcissistic personality disorder. So, does your ex truly have narcissistic traits, or are they truly somebody who suffers from narcissistic personality disorder? The likelihood is they're not a true narcissist. Similarly, when we consider attachment styles, it doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate. So I try to almost take away the fact of what attachment style we might be thinking they might be at that point and look at what they're doing, looking at their actions. She blocked me, but then unblocked me a few days later. Now she's stalking my socials. So from what I can tell, based upon that, is that she has a high level of interest towards you and your life. Not quite high enough to want to reconnect properly, but certainly high enough to unblock you and checking out your socials. My suggestion in this case would be to really showcase the positivity within your own life on your socials and try and reel that person back into your life so they feel they have no option but to contact you. Christopher said, I really appreciate being able to get this off my chest. I'm very isolated. I'm so sorry to hear that, Christopher. And yeah, absolutely. Release that emotion. You can get this off your chest. And incidentally, if it doesn't work out with your partner, with your ex, you truly can find somebody even better. You might not believe me right now, but there is always hope. Andrew said, me and my ex were each other's first love and each other's first everything at 18, 19, and she dumped me last year in January, and we've been in no contact for 9 months, and she hasn't reached out at all. Now this can be really painful. First loves, you can read so much about it. There is a special place, you might say, in everybody's heart for their first love. Now this doesn't mean that you will necessarily be together forever or you will get an ex back, but there is certainly a place, I would say, in each and every person's mind for their first love. That being said, let's look at the situation. You were unfortunately dumped in January and you've been in no contact for 9 months. She hasn't reached out at all. Now, I'm not trying to give you false hope because that is not healthy or a good thing to do, but I would say that in reality you're only in the kind of average amount of time period now that somebody might reach out. That's 6 to 12 months. Now, if we go beyond 12 months, your likelihood, your chance of success, in my opinion, does start to decrease. However, it doesn't mean it can't happen. Now, that to one side, you need to be focusing on making your life the best it can be, because if your ex comes back into your life, you need to wow them by everything that you've been doing with yourself. And if you don't get them back, then by living your life the right way, you can attract someone even better. That is why it's win-win. So I would suggest, Andrew, you need to be really trying to take your mind off the time that's ticking by, and instead think about what you can be doing with yourself. The one thing a single person has more than someone in a relationship is time. And if you have time, you can do so much and you can achieve so much. So don't be afraid, because you can achieve great things. JTW has said, I got an expat too, but it's harder to make it work. I'm wanting to move on, but these sites help. I don't know if you mean channels. I'm not entirely sure what you're meaning on this, but the fact is, if you're gaining help and support from something, that can only be a good thing. I don't want anybody feeling stuck. I don't want anybody feeling that they have to be with their ex or no one else. You can find someone better. You might feel that you can't, but life works in mysterious ways. This is one person. I don't believe we have the one. I believe we have many the ones, which move into our life at different points. You could have had the love of your life many years ago, but now you've grown apart and you find the next love of your life to really match with the person you are today. I'm a big believer that that can happen. FXL has said, thanks for your advice. I think so too. I just need to find a way to get her out of my head now. Thanks for your work and your help. It helps a lot. Well, thank you, FXL, for being part of this chat. I think did you say you're in France? If you do, you speak great English, so thank you. Suppressor said, everything was going well until recently I realised I was paying for Netflix and she was still using it. I changed the password on the account and she called me and threw a temper tantrum. My question basically... Oh, sorry. No, that's about somebody else. Okay, let me move back to Suppressor to carry on. She blocked me and told me to never message or call her again and that she's done with me for good. She told me that I was deplorable and that hopes I improve because I need it. So everything was going on until I recently realised I was paying for Netflix and she was still using it. I changed my password. At the end of the day, if your ex is using your accounts, then they don't have a leg to stand on if you decide you no longer want to pay for it. Now, do I suggest that you cancel everything that your ex might have a way of logging into? Do I suggest you remove everything instantly? Probably not. I might give a month's grace or so, mainly because if you got back together, it would be kind of awkward. But certainly, after a month, you should not be paying for your ex's things. If she is saying that you are deplorable by refusing to pay for her accounts and she's not with you, I think she is deplorable. So Andrew said, my question basically, is the first love significant? Is it more likely for her to reach out again if we did everything together for the first time? I wouldn't necessarily say it's more likely, but what I would say is you are more likely to be remembered in a deeper way. Now that could help you. It could mean that further down the line, you're viewed as someone that they want to contact again. But what you will likely find is that you will both grow. Have you grown in the same direction or different directions? Are you going to be the same people at 40 as you were at 18? Probably not. For good or for bad. You do hear of instances, I'm sure you have, I certainly have, of where first loves reconnect many, many, many years later, 10, 20 years later. But often, they're different people. And what they was really living off were past memories. That doesn't mean you can't get your ex back, but it does mean that you just need to try and focus on the broader happiness of your life. AONG said, so you think an ex unblocking you is generally not a bad thing? I can't speak for individual cases, but generally speaking, if somebody unblocks you, it's a good thing. If you have been blocked and that person unblocks you, it has to be a good thing. In their mind, they have decided to downgrade you, so to speak, from I absolutely have no intention of ever communicating with this person ever again. And you've been downgraded from that level of severity to, okay, I'm not ready to speak right now, but let's just reopen that path. So I would say it's a positive step. Suppressor, do you think she's playing a game, or will she ever reach out again? I would be hesitant to make predictions on things which you might really focus upon, because if I say I think she's going to reach out again, that might prevent you from living your life the way you should be. I would say there is every chance you will hear from her again. But if you don't focus on you, then even if she does, she's probably not going to want to stick around. So it could happen, it might happen, but now's the time for you to do the work just in case it does happen. Dana said, to expand on my last post that you're addressing, I've leveled up massively, I've been promoted to VP, brought a brand new luxury vehicle, I've gotten in shape and been dating. Well, that's amazing, Dan. You know, if all of us could do that with our lives, we would all be, much better people. That is a proper version 2.0. You should be really proud of yourself. That's incredible, Dan. Christopher has said, I absolutely agree. I believe she is a narcissist. She was even diagnosed as one, and I have severe codependency issues. I need to work on myself and get rid of this pain in my life. It can be really, really difficult when we're going through a breakup. Breakup recovery is not easy. A lot of my audio coaching clients don't even want to get their ex back. They just want to recover from a breakup. So it's not always about getting an ex back. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. I'm a big believer, as you might imagine, in talk therapy, talking things through. It really takes a weight off our mind, helps us move through each day. I remember my own breakups in the past. I remember struggling to go to work when I used to work in an office. I used to really, really struggle to be able to do a day's work. I felt absolutely distraught. And what I would do is release my emotion before I went to work, which basically meant I would allow myself to cry. I would be crying 20, 30 minutes before I started work. And then that gave me the ability to work because my emotion released and I felt comfortable. And sometimes talk therapy can do that. One of the reasons why I do this job today is I want to help people in a way that I wasn't helped back in the day. So, I'm a big believer. I like to say this when I speak to my audio coaching clients. I will say to most of them, I often say that, look, if you work in a restaurant, you need to have tasted the food. And I say that because I've been through what you're going through. I've been through it. I've been through it multiple times in different ways, actually. I've lived a very varied life in different experiences, which is why I believe I'm a good life coach, because I can feel what you're feeling and I can see the way through the other side of a dark, bleak tunnel. You will get through it. Dana said, I've been posting it authentically on my feeds and just showing my best life, not showing any remorse or sadness, just that I'm living my best life, getting better and moving on. Robert has said, my ex came back after 6 months of no contact. 6 months, the average amount of time. There you go again. Does a female deserve a second chance when they can just walk away and come back when they're ready? Now, although I'm a big believer in masculine and feminine energy, and that we are all different, when it comes to breakups, let me tell you, men and women feel the pain the same. I speak to men, and sometimes they're really going through the grind, and they'll say, hey, all women are the same. And then I speak to women, and they're going through the grind, and they say to me, oh, all men are the same. The point being, when I'm reading what you're saying here, does a female deserve a second chance when they can walk away? I would remove that word female. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, gay or straight. We're just talking about an ex here. So does an ex deserve a second chance where they can just walk away and come back when they're ready? Well, that is down to yourself, in essence. But I would suggest that it doesn't necessarily make them a bad person for ending a relationship and then wanting to come back. What it might mean is that the relationship wasn't working for them. They decided they needed to end it. But since the breakup, they've seen things in you, or they felt an aura or a vibe from you that has made them regrow attraction. That might combine with their own life not going the way that they thought. But at the end of the day, if they come to the conclusion that you are the best option, well, if you want to take them back, that doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you anything. If you and they want to give it a second try, you absolutely can. Super Good Guy said, she walked away from me in June and came back in October this month. I never begged when she told me his relationship is not working. All I said, okay, I understand, and I went into no contact immediately. It's really, really hard to go through what we could describe as the perfect breakup, but it sounds like, Super Good Guy, you are doing the best that you can there. Really, really tough, but you've, in essence, not done any chasing, and that is going to give you a very good chance of trying to reattract your ex by implementing the no contact rule. Andrew said thank you. Robert said, should a female be trusted when they had an affair while you were in no contact? Again, I would just look at that as an ex rather than a female. But look, okay, should an ex be trusted when they had an affair while you were in no contact? If you were in no contact, then in my mind that relationship has ended, and hence there is no affair. You are a single person and they are a single person. If you don't feel you can trust them for whatever reason, you should not be in a relationship. So whether or not this was a real quote-unquote affair, or whether this could be argued is they were single and you were single and it's nothing wrong, some people would argue, I would say look at it from a perspective of, do you trust them? Do you trust her? If you don't, you shouldn't be with her. David has said, I've been in no contact over a year now. I focused on myself from day one. I'm dating now, but my ex keeps popping up in my dating apps. It makes it hard to move on. It's really difficult when that happens, David. Let me give you some advice. When you're on the dating apps, I don't know how old your ex is. Let's say your ex is 30 years old, okay? I would suggest that you do one search where you look for women 25 to 29, and then you do a second search when you look for women 31 to 34. What I'm saying is, don't search for the age of your ex. You might think, well, that means I'm going to miss out on all of the 30-year-olds. At the end of the day, if it's affecting your mental health, then it's something that I suggest could be helpful for you. FFXL said a last question. She found a new lover weeks after the breakup. Do you think I'm stupid to still be stuck with her in my head and lonely 9 months after a breakup? I would never say you're stupid. You're heartbroken. Okay, you're heartbroken. You're not stupid. You're going through grief. But what I would suggest is that you deserve some happiness and that you deserve to go on some dates, whether it's with your ex or not. So, no, you're not stupid, but try to focus on you rather than her. Dana said, for everybody, no contact works. I've had every single ex come back to me throughout my life at 40 with the exception of the most recent. And the most recent one is because I chased. I'm 40 for reference. And that's really important that Dan has said that, and thank you, Dan, for sharing it, because the amount of times people type things in the comments like, oh, exes never come back. Well, they do. Not all of the time. Different research has different results. I've been looking at a number of different studies. The success rate seems to bounce around between 40 to 60%. So let's just call it 50. On average, 50% of exes will want to come back. What's the difference between whether they do or they don't? Often, not always, but often, it's down to how the dumpy behaves post-breakup. Charles has said, I ran into my ex, went well at the store. She contacted me for the next 3 days, but ghosted after the third day. Any thoughts? Okay, so you ran into your ex, went well at the store. She contacted me for the next 3 days and then ghosted. Unfortunately, without knowing exactly what was said, I don't know. But obviously something has changed in her mind. Something which you spoke about potentially has changed her mind, although we can't remove a possibility that an external factor, a third party, maybe somebody else was in her life, and maybe they went away and now maybe they've come back. That would be one possibility. Suppressor said, where can I go and what does the process look like to talk to you about my specific situation with my ex? So I have an audio coaching service, which is in essence like a phone call. Just me and you speaking verbally for an hour. And if you're interested in my audio coaching service, you can go to my website, which is dateme.tips, or you can just send me an email and I can email you the details directly. It's up to you. If you look at your screen now, Vincent@dateme.tips, and I will respond to you, or you can go to my website and it explains it. Either way, you will send me an email. It's just whether you want to read it on the website or whether you would like me to respond to you and tell you either way. By the way, if anybody has emailed me and therefore you are expecting a response, please check your spam and junk, okay? Sometimes I go back and forth with people and then it just goes dead. And then I find out about a month later, they say, oh, I thought you just stopped responding. No. Randomly, emails sometimes go to spam and junk. Even if there's a back and forth, sadly, sometimes they still go. So if you're expecting an email, check your spam and junk. I always aim to get back to you within 24 hours. It's often much quicker than that. But yes, if you're interested in my audio coaching, www.dateme.tips, or alternatively, just email me, Vincent@dateme.tips. And it's like a phone call, it's an audio call, and we speak. JTW said, might help for one asking a question with breakup. My ex got with someone, said she was drunk and missing us. I've tried to make it work, but it eats you up as if someone who says they love you couldn't do that. It destroyed us, even though nothing has happened since. I always say look at people's actions rather than their words. You know, whether somebody says something good or bad, look at how they are behaving. You know, somebody might say they miss you and then they just don't want to be part of your life. And you think, okay, even if you miss me, there's something obviously holding you back here. Alternatively, they might say, we're not right for each other, but then they keep messaging you. So look at it in that respect. Robert said, I treated this woman like royalty, helped her with her bills, gave her flowers, and treated her with kindness. There was no reason for her to walk away. Would you take someone back like this? I would only take someone back if I felt it was going to help fulfill my life. That's not being selfish. It's just considering exactly what they've done when they ended the relationship. They ended it because they didn't feel it was working. So I'm only going to take somebody back if I feel it is working. Now, if I'm going to second guess everything they do, if I don't trust them, if I'm worried every time they walk out the door that they might not come back, then that person does not fit with me. So, would I potentially take someone back? Yes. Would I potentially take someone back that I didn't trust and didn't understand? Probably not. Now, we've kind of said there was no reason for her to walk away, but there would have been a reason. Now, we might not know it, you might not know it, I might not know it, but she will know it. I'm just throwing things out there because I've got no idea of your situation, but could she have felt smothered? You know, you treated her like royalty. I'm not saying treat people badly, I'm just saying, were you smothering her? Was that possibly why she walked away? I don't know enough about it, but all I'm saying is there will be a reason. Nobody ends a relationship for no reason. If we don't think there's a reason, basically it means we just don't know what that reason is. AONG said, if a dumper wants to talk again or try again, they will let their ego go. But my ex says she wouldn't reach out. Do you think if someone really wants to talk again, they will drop their ego and text? Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. Can I promise you that every single person will? No, I can't. But over the years I've been doing this job, which has been since 2018, I've heard so many people say to me, my ex is stubborn, my ex is different, my ex means what they say. And then I hear months later that they've got back together. So, not everybody, obviously, but what I'm trying to say is, I've heard it all before. My ex is an avoidant. My ex is stubborn. My ex is so loyal to their word that they would never go back on it. And yet these people who say, we're over, we will never be together again, I don't want to ever speak to you again, these people still sometimes reach out. And the reason is because we all feel in the moment. We all speak in the moment. We all live our life in the moment. So when they've said those things, it was probably true. Just as it was probably true when they said, I do, at the wedding. If you've been married, they would have said, I do at the altar. That meant they wanted to marry you and be with you forever. If you're now divorced, well, what does that mean? Well, it means they've changed their mind. But the good news is they can change their mind the other way. So, long-winded answer to you is, I think that if somebody changes their mind, they've grown romantic emotional attraction, they will reach out irrespective of what they have said previously. Robert has said, she is even a beneficiary on my 401k plan. I don't know what that means, but okay. Why in the hell would she walk away? It is I that should be walking away. Now, I don't know why she's walked away, but unfortunately she's lost romantic emotional attraction, Robert. I can't say for why, but she has. Now, interestingly, you said you should have been the one walking away, because often the line between dumper and dumpy is quite thin. A lot of dumpies could easily have been the dumper in alternative realities. So you're absolutely spot on there, Robert. You could have been the one to walk away. Maybe, in hindsight, maybe you feel you should have been. Often, dumpies feel extra pain because they wish they had dumped their ex. They don't even want them back. They just wish they had been the one to end the relationship. Super Good Guy said, guys, no contact works. I know it's not easy. Hit the guy first to high paying job, so when they come back you will be in a better place. So the secret is to never reach out to them first. Yeah, you know, in essence, in general, I would suggest as a dumpy never contacting your ex again unless they contact you first. There are a few exceptions, you know. Just to give one very quick brief exception to you is if you are about to move country. Let's just say that you are about to move country. It might sound a very rare instance, but it's still an instance. You're about to move country and you want to get your ex back. You might just have to do what I call a Hail Mary approach, which is you've got nothing to lose at that point. You know, you've got nothing to lose because you're not going to get them back from a different country. If you can get them back a month, 2 months before you leave, well, maybe, just maybe something can be worked out, but you won't get them back from abroad. So that's just one quick, if not rare example about where sometimes a dumpy maybe should reach out. But yes, generally, most dumpies should not be doing that in my opinion. AONG has said, she unblocked me after 2 months. That seems early. Now, it's not ideal to be blocked, but the fact you've been unblocked, well, that's a very good sign. Robert has said, no contact works 89% of the time. Wow, that is very precise. That is a very precise stat. I don't know what research that's on, but, you know, it sounds good to me because I know it does work. If it doesn't work by getting them back, it works on helping you finding yourself. Okay, I've only just got to the message saying I'm breaking up. Is the mic working now? Sorry, it was probably ages ago you typed that. Okay, you're breaking up. I hope I'm not anymore. Mad Max. Avoidant GF went hypersensitive after 6 months and claimed she couldn't listen to another word out of my mouth. I went into no contact. Now, after 5 months of no contact, any words of advice? I would say maintain no contact. You're not quite into the average time that they reach out. It's getting closer, you know. 6 months isn't the longest of relationships, but still a good chunk of time in many ways. I would suggest that you really, really need to focus on you and keep going. Robert said, Mad Max, she'll be back. Mr. Boss, I love your advice. I would like to buy you a coffee, at Starbucks. Thank you, Robert. That's very kind. If you do want to quote unquote buy me a coffee, I do have a link in the description where you can give me a small tip. I really appreciate that if you want to. FXL has said, one thing that keeps me wondering how to get her back while in total no contact. We have no reason to see each other ever again since we have no activities or friends in common. Should I break no contact? No, don't break it. Because incidentally, the most powerful way to attract your ex is letting them wonder about you. All of the other things are like the icing on the cake. They're like the extra sprinkles and sparkles. But it's actually the no contact which is the biggest pull. I've known many instances of where people have only used no contact as a tool to re-attract their ex. So, although it might sound scary, although it sounds like that you probably don't have the avenue to use for other hints, tips and advice, to really add those extra sprinkles, so to speak, I still think you can be doing really, really well just by implementing no contact. It's certainly something which will help you find yourself, even if you can't find your ex back in that regard. Hopefully you will, though. By the way, what's the sound like, everybody? So I've just given a little plug to my free newsletter. It's on Substack. If you're familiar with Substack, then you know what it is. If you don't, well, it's a free newsletter, but also there's almost like a Twitter style element to it, which I think is pretty cool as well. If you're interested in signing up to the free newsletter, please click the link that I've just posted in the chat. It will show you the first newsletter I did, my welcome newsletter, and at the bottom of that newsletter, it just asks you to type an email address in, and then you're signed up. I send out a newsletter once a week. I've already done one today, which was about Halloween, a trick-or-treat concept. I try to inspire, motivate, support people. Like I said, it's for free. If you're interested, click the link and put your email address in and sign up if you want. If you have Substack, then you already know what this is about, and that's what my newsletter is. It's on Substack, and I do use the micro-blogging element of it as well, which is like Twitter or X. Again, some of you might be interested, some of you aren't, but I'm just trying to build that up because I do enjoy, I don't know if you'd call it kind of blogging as it used to be. I do enjoy the newsletter aspect, but what's really interesting is you can also insert audio. And I'm thinking of doing some bonus podcasts which will only be on my newsletter. So within the newsletter that you read, there'll be like a little audio player to click and listen. So I'm thinking of doing that as a bonus for people who subscribe to my newsletter, maybe adding some free podcasts within it at times. So again, that's my little plug. If you're interested, click that link, move down to the bottom. It's just my first newsletter saying welcome. If you move to the bottom, you type your email address in and that's you signed up. Again, if you actually know what Substack is, my newsletter is via Substack. AONG has said, my audio is now good. Well, that's a relief. FFXL has said, 9 months. It looks hopeless now, but thanks. I don't want to give you false hope. That isn't healthy. You know, I'm not going to give you false hope, but I'm also not going to say it's impossible. Because I've known of many people get their ex back even beyond a year. The odds do decrease, I would suggest, after a year, but there is still a chance. So if you say 9 months, I'm going to word it this way. Don't focus on your ex. You might not get her back. You can find someone better, but you could get her back. I'm not going to say that you can't. JTW said, sounds okay. Thank you very much. Super Good Guy said, FXL, hang in there, buddy. I know it's hard. No contact works because she's a human. and there's a lot of memories you guys created that she can never forget. It's true. We're all human, you know, for good or for bad, and it's very helpful in this regard because no contact pulls on human emotion. Human emotion is what we all work on. The reason you got together was human emotion. The reason you broke up was unfortunately due to their emotions not feeling like they wanted to be with you anymore. And human emotions can also be what brings them back to you. FXL has said, thanks guys. Thank you everybody who is providing support. It's really great to have a positive community. Too many breakup communities out there are negative echo chambers, you know. Once upon a time I was going to build a group on Discord. I even considered Facebook as well. And I went against it because a lot of these places become negative echo chambers. People go in and they never really get out. If they do get out, they're a lot more bitter than when they went in. So I really decided against that. I'm slowly but surely, very slowly but surely, building an Instagram. I've got my Substack as mentioned, and obviously here on YouTube. And, you know, I like doing these live streams. Hopefully I will do them a bit more often now, because this is a great way to be positive and help each other, lift each other up. I just don't like people dragging each other down. AONG has said it's hard to understand how she feels because she keeps liking my TikTok reposts, and I don't know why you would do that if you don't want to speak with me again. It's a great point you bring up. Why would anybody do this to someone they don't want to relate with anymore? Now, we can't say that that means that she definitely does, but what we can say is that subconsciously she's thinking about you. Subconsciously she's wondering about you, because if not, why would she do it? Mad Max has said, thanks for the advice. Aaron has said, my ex emailed me some tickets she bought us for our anniversary, and she was going to close some joint accounts. She hasn't done this. This was after 2 months of no contact. Haven't heard from her since. Now that's an interesting one, because if you want those tickets, that could be a possible reason for you to reach out. Now, I don't want to encourage you to do this because I don't know the specifics, but if she has something of yours of monetary value, i.e. tickets, you know, if you want them, you could technically ask for them, but you've got to be careful because you don't want to derail any potential attraction which might be growing in the background. It's a very delicate balancing act. If you don't really mind the tickets, then don't use it as an excuse to reach out. You should only be reaching out in that regard for something you desperately, genuinely, really honestly need. Because otherwise I would just let sleeping dogs lie. It's great to have so many people in here today. Please let me know where you're from in the world. Don't be shy. You don't have to share your story if you don't want to. You could just say hello. When I used to do live streams, there was quite a good balance of men and women. I think the only people who've commented today have been men. I might be wrong on that, but I think that's the case. Are there any ladies in here? You know, I used to be really happy. I used to have a good 50-50 almost in my live streams. I know some channels focus on men, some focus on women. I've always tried to be very balanced. You know, so whether you are a man or a woman, whether you are straight or gay, you know, I believe that I can support you and help you get to that happier place in your life. But I think everybody's been messaging from what they've told me have been men. I apologise if there's been some ladies who have messaged and I've just said you're men. But from what I remember, what everybody's been saying, it sounds like it's just been men typing in the chat so far. Aaron has said she has provided me with the email site to use them, so So need to reach out. Need to or don't need to? Freedom has said, started talking to someone new, but worried about lingering feelings for X, and also just worried about the same thing happening again. It's a little over 4 months. Okay, so what I would say there is 4 months is not long. But credit to you for speaking to somebody new. You're still thinking of your ex, that's absolutely natural. Welcome to being a stage 2 dumpy. That is what you've done. Congratulations. If you were stage 1, you could never have even brought yourself to speak with someone new. But the fact that you're still thinking of your ex, that means you are in stage 2. You're making progress, you're living your life. Treat everybody as an individual. Just because your ex treated you one way doesn't mean this new person will. Hopefully they won't. Elliot is here. Hi Elliot. Hello here from Florida. Love listening to you. It's very motivating and encouraging during a serious breakup. Thanks. Oh, thank you, Elliot. That's really kind of you to say. If I can do anything just to lift your spirits and your mood, then that makes me feel that I've done something good. Just trying to give something back, in essence, and trying to lift people. Next year can be the best year of your life. And you might think I'm wrong. In fact, funnily enough, one of my audio coaching clients actually said to me on our last call, they started speaking to me in January. And they said, oh, when we started speaking, you said that this year could be the best year of my life. And I thought, you were crazy. And he said to me, well, it looks like it might be. So I will say it again, and I will say it to everybody. You can make it that way. Aaron has said, don't need to. Okay, so you don't need to reach out about the tickets. So obviously, don't do that because it's not going to help you. So it's good that you don't in that regard. Supra said, it's a channel like this that helped me when she walked away. I watch all of the videos in this channel now that she is back after 5 months. I still watch this channel. Anyway, thank you so much for helping us. Oh, wow. Thank you. That's really kind. FFXL has said, how many stages are there? So I broke it down. This was just my own theory. So I say that stage 1 dumpies are when you are absolutely heartbroken. Now, you could be in stage 1 for any length of time. You could be in stage 1 after 2 years. Hopefully not. But when you're stage 1, you're thinking of your ex 24/7. Nobody else comes into your mind. Stage 2 is when you are open to dating new people, but you won't get in too deep because you're still thinking of your ex. So you will date them, but you just keep things casual, because if your ex texts you, you drop them like a stone and go to your ex. That's stage 2. Then stage 3 is when you finally meet someone who you actually acknowledge is better than your ex. And for the first time, if your ex reached out to you now, you wouldn't get back together with them. So in my mind, there are 3 stages. Aaron has said, trying to date in your 40s is brutal, especially when you have residual feelings for your ex. Well, you have something going for you, Aaron, which is there's been a lot of research about what people call sexual market value, which is in essence the level of attraction that you can resonate, you might say, to other people. And a lot of people believe that a man's sexual market value doesn't peak until his late 40s. The reason being is that most women, not all women, but most women find things such as stability, confidence, ambition as very, very attractive traits. Now, if you consider when you are likely to be at your best with those things, it's not going to be when you're 18, it's not going to be when you're 25, it's probably going to be your late 40s that you can marry up being someone who is confident, stable, and hopefully successful with your life. Doesn't mean rich, it just means successful in who you are as a person, that you can marry that up with still being somewhat healthy, somewhat attractive. If you can marry those 2 things up, that is your peak performance in most people's opinion. And that generally is in your late 40s. The point being, Aaron, is that you have not yet hit your peak. I don't know exactly how old you are, but in the next 5-6 years you might be hitting your peak. So think of it like that. AONG said, what are the chances of X reaching out during the holidays? Okay, so there is a very good chance that they will think of you. There is a very good chance they will be on the verge of reaching out to you. But some might, and some might not for a few more months. They might hold on. But if and when you hear from them, let's just say you hear from them in February or March, they will probably say to you, I nearly reached out to you at Christmas. I nearly reached out to you on New Year's. So what are the chances of an ex reaching out during the holidays? Let's just rephrase that to, what are the chances of an ex nearly or reaching out to me at the holidays? I would say it's quite good. It's quite high. Freedom has said, can confirm, now at 35, I have the most success with women I've ever had in my life. And it's important to say, from all of my research, from the people I've spoke to, the women I know, throughout my own life and spoke to and everything else, most women, just as most men, are not gold diggers. When men say those things, not only is it unfair, but it's not going to be an attractive thing for you to say. Okay? But what is fair to say is that most women who have told me what they find attractive is confidence, stability, and ambition. So, being ambitious is important to a lot of women. Not all women, I'm not speaking for every woman. Similarly, when I speak with men, most men tell me the number one trait they look for in a woman is physical attraction. Now that's not going to be every man, not every single man is going to feel that way, but most of you out there, if you're honest, the number one trait you look for in a woman is not ambition, it's not stability, it's not confidence, it's how they look. And that's the reality. So that is the main differences that I see. Now this is not a black and white issue. We can't say definitively this and definitively that. We're talking averages, generally speaking, and the like. FFXL has said, but let's be honest, if she is with a new lover, it explains why she's not reaching out. Absolutely true that if she is in a relationship with someone else, your chance of hearing from that ex is reduced. I've still heard of it happen, but if they're in a relationship, in particular if that relationship is happy, then they're not likely to reach out to you. That is a realistic, important fact that we have to acknowledge and accept. Okay, are there any more questions, things people want to say? So we just hit that hour mark. It's been great doing this live stream. I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully we can do some more of these again soon. I'll just do one more quick plug about my free newsletter. Click that link if you want a free newsletter once a week from me. The link will take you to the first newsletter I did. Scroll down to the bottom. You just type your email address in, and then you will be on it. I aim to inspire, motivate, encourage and support you from this newsletter. It's via Substack. If you know what Substack is, that's what it's from. Click the link and sign up if you wish. Freedom has said, right, and give me a second. Speaking of holidays, my ex reached out when I was away travelling in September to say she finally could come round to get her stuff back. I said I was away. I should have known this. I said I was away. She should have known this because she'd been meant to come with me. I said I was away and for her to text when I came back. She never texted since. Now we can't say for certain why that has taken place. Like you say, she should have already known that. Why did she reach out? What was her intentions there? What we can suggest is that her thoughts and feelings at the time when she asked that question was in one place, but then by the time you came back, her thoughts and feelings were in a different place. Doesn't mean she can't come back round to that way of thinking, but obviously and unfortunately at this time, she has changed from that mindset. FXL has said, but the difficult thing is all of the promises. It's not a definite goodbye. If I'll ever be there for you, I don't want you out of my life. Well, in my opinion, you can't have an active platonic friendship with an ex because it'll break your heart. If you are a friend, a genuine, just a friend, then at some point they will get a new girlfriend or a new boyfriend, and you will have to be that friend. So politely and respectfully, don't accept a platonic friendship with someone you have romantic feelings for. Aaron has said, I'm definitely looking at stage 2. There are possibilities of dating around my vicinity, though I chose to pursue a long distance option. You see, remember when I said stage 2s often don't want it to be serious? A stage 2 wants it to be casual. The long distance option gives you that safety. Consciously or subconsciously, you are creating a barrier. You're creating an easy get out of jail free card. If your ex appears, you can go to the long distance, oh, I'm sorry, it's not working, it's over. And you don't have to worry about bumping into them down the street. You're not doing anything wrong. I'm just saying that's the mindset. Freedom says, so I should continue no contact and not message her about the stuff, right? In my opinion, unless her stuff is causing you distress, problems, difficulties, unless that is the case, then I would not contact her about it. Instead, I would put it all in a box, put the box somewhere safe, out of the way where you don't see it. And at that stage, I would not contact her unless she contacted me first. Okay, everyone, it's been absolutely brilliant live streaming with you today. Thank you so much for being part of this. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do that so you're notified of my future live streams and uploads. I'm hoping to do a new podcast tomorrow. Thank you for being part of this great breakup community live stream. Stay positive. With or without your ex, you will have a positive future. Thank you and good night.